Much for joining this channel again, and hope those who are joining right now maybe already visited some of the other playlist, and currently I am going through a new playlist, that is MAF, that is Microsoft Agent Framework. Please go to the other channels also, other playlist also, for better understanding, and then you come to the MAF, or if you already know, you can come to the MAF directly also. So for MAF, how to access it? So you will access it through this playlist, that is which, you can set up, not set up architecture 0. This is for general purpose up to day 18. Okay, this is for Microsoft AI agents. Yeah, this one, Microsoft Enterprise Multi-Agent using MAF. So we already started with the MAF, the concept in the day 1, and just I am recapping why agent failed, and we discussed this part earlier, but I am giving a recap. So remember one thing, when you talk about MAF, it is specifically for orchestration. It is a multi-agent orchestration tool, or you can say the framework, not tool. Microsoft AI agent already we discussed in one of the playlists, that is for agent abstraction conversation, when you do a chat conversation either in a persistent mode or response pattern. And semantic kernel is like a directly putting prompt plugin memory planner that you already done in the one of the playlist with the day 1 to day 18. So this MAF will extend again, creating a pure MAF agent. So in the episode 1 we discussed why agents cannot rely on monolithic single agent. The episode transition from theory to implementation. So by this you will understand the core web API, MAF agent, OpenAI provider integration, Swagger, request response, right? The scope is very clear. We will use this Microsoft.agents. something, agents.ai, agents.ai.openai. This will be our first runnable agent using MAF. We will use AIAgent, AsAIAgent, RunAsync. Just remember these keywords. This will actually help us to build up the first agent using Microsoft Agent Framework. Code API is fine. So why Microsoft Agent Framework? Microsoft Framework, real agent abstraction, web API, where Core API will be or ChatController. Response agent. See, there are two type of agent pattern I have said: response pattern and persistent pattern. But here we are using only the response pattern. Okay, so later on in the upcoming series, we will implement the persistent also using the MAF, but we haven't mixed up the both the pattern in the single series. Okay. So for response agent, this AI agent and agent async, RunAsync, right? What I mentioned over here, these two are very important. This is for execution using the cloud with the cloud provider. This is to create the agent, and this is actually to set up the provider. I will explain the core components. Response agent, then the agent framework MAF, which will be agent abstraction provider adapter, because you need an adapter, right, to connect to the Azure OpenAI. So detail. So you can see ChatController, what I mentioned about the ChatController. It is, if you go in detail, you will receive the chat request, validate the input, invoke the response agent, right? It will invoke the response agent using this, RunAsync, and return the chat response. And what agent layer will do? Response agent, enterprise assistant, stateless, as I said, it is a response, so no memory, it is stateless. Execute async, that we are using execute async, and we have a MAF layer. So it is between the response agent and our AI agent. AI agent is nothing but this one. So AI agent, agent abstraction, run, execute, run async, all will be done. So these are controlled. So response agent will agent layer, MAF layer, then provider adapter layer, right? Which will actually connect to the Azure OpenAI. Azure OpenAI is Azure OpenAI client, chat client. This contain the model. This contain the client, Azure OpenAI client, and this will be connected through the adapter from the MAF. And finally, the response will come. So architecturally, we have discussed the runtime architecture is web host, controller layer. Controller will talk to the controller means the chat controller, and then the agent layer. Agent will talk to the MAF abstraction, and then the provider. And on the top, we will add in the upcoming days tools, state, as I said, right? Persistent model, scaling to the AKS, deployment. We will do everything. So startup, we will be doing the dependency injection, response agent singleton pattern that I will show in the program.cs. Azure OpenAI client creation. What is Azure OpenAI client? This one. Otherwise, you cannot connect to the Azure OpenAI. Azure OpenAI client creation, chat client creation, chat client as AIAgent. AIAgent is ready. This is startup, and then the runtime, chat controller, validation, execute, RunAsync, AIAgent, OpenAI. Okay. The request HTTP post will be done, and response agent, AIAgent, RunAsync, the same thing. So you will prepare the AI agent, and then AI agent RunAsync will be called, and then that will be OpenAI provider generated response. So what is AI agent? As I said, this AI agent responsible for executing the agent. It accepts the message from the chat controller. It execute against a provider. In our case, Azure OpenAI is the provider. Apply instructions, generate outcomes. Right. That is the purpose of AI agent. These are all part of the MAF. Provider adapter as AI agent. Provide integration happen through the adapter. Right. We have to integrate. So OpenAI chat client, AIAgent. This convert infrastructure into MAF native abstraction. Agent execution, agent occurs, right? You already prepared agent and everything, you have to execute that. AIAgent, right? So you will execute RunAsync. So this is the solution we will are using. ResponseAgent, that is real MAF agent wrapper. This is our, the API controller, agent wrapper, and finally it will talk to the Azure OpenAI, and this is the API request response. So responsibilities, response agent, chat controller, model, program dependency. So I hope you understand we are using Microsoft Agent Framework as the agent framework. While Azure AI OpenAI is the only provider is the only provider SDK that connects the framework to the Azure OpenAI. So if you want to connect MAF with Azure OpenAI, then you need a azure.ai.openai. But in order to that build up that MAF, that AI agents and everything that we discussed earlier in the call. Let me show you. So once the request comes, right, then the response agent, this is the response agent. It needed Microsoft agents. Once everything is prepared, then only it will talk to the provider using that Microsoft.ai.agent. So you remember these packages. So structure is agent framework. Agent framework means agents dot. So that's the I mentioned agent star. AI OpenAI, and OpenAI SDK talk with Azure AI OpenAI. Then the actually OpenAI service. So these are the packages. So if I say MAF, it is agent layer, runtime layer, execution layer given by the MAF, and the provider is model access layer, which actually provides the data. Same chat, we will check the where is depend policy. Solution architecture, the same thing we discussed. Takeaways, real-time agent, provider abstraction, request response, core hosting, And this is the diagram what we discussed right now. So we have a client layer Swagger, in our case Swagger. You will pass this message where is the refund policy. Then it will actually invoke this API. API have a chat controller, and chat controller will receive this that request, and then the chat controller will talk to the agent layer or response agent. So response agent will actually, what it will do is it will take the information. It is a stateless agent using the response pattern, and it will got the execute async. Then Microsoft Agent Framework MAF will come into the picture, which will do the run async, AIAgent.run async, right, chat client. This convert provider to MAF agent, and finally it called the provider. Our provider is Azure OpenAI, which actually called to the deployment model like GGPT 4.0. So API will talk to the provider through agent layer and MAF layer. Agent layer is our response pattern, which take the message and call the method to call the actual MAF, which will call internally the run async. The flow is AI response, chat response, return, Swagger. So these are the, you can check the details like chat controller, response agent. We will show into the demo also what technology we are using. Key takeaways we already discussed. Not included. There is no memory, no tool, nothing that we will add in the upcoming days. Only we are getting the first agent with ASP.NET Web API, request response, response pattern. We are using MAF layer with the packages Microsoft.agents.ai, Microsoft.agents.ai.openai. So these are the packages very important, and we are able to get a response. So let's see in the demo. As I said, this Azure AI OpenAI is actually helping to connect to the Azure OpenAI that I have shown in the diagram. The Azure OpenAI will be connected. Azure Agents AI, Azure Agents AI.openAI. These are actually help us to build up that that MAF using the MAF framework, the agents. So these three are important. Azure Identity, that is for connecting to the Azure Cloud Foundry, because it is guarded by the Azure Identity. So in the program.cs, we have taken a response agent. So if I go to the controller will get the message. Controller will call this execute async. If I go to the execute async, so this is nothing but we are now here, agent layer. So agent layer, we are picking up the data, Azure OpenAI endpoint, API key, deployment name. We are doing some validations, and finally we are calling Azure OpenAI client with this credential. This is the for authentication. So client.get chat client actually connecting. So what is this? So AI agent, okay. So this is the client. What we have done, we have created AI agent, Microsoft.agents.ai that I mentioned. AI agents. Because we are in a response agent, response talk to the MAF have the AI agent. Then agent actually, now we are getting a chat client. This client is nothing but Azure OpenAI client to connect Azure OpenAI. Passing the deployment name, chat client as AI agent. We got the agent, and then agent.runAsync. That means this one, agent.runAsync. That will be called. So we will ask the question and it will give the response. And this is our details, deployment, endpoint, API key. So let's see how it works. So we'll take the same input. Where is the refund policy? So it will check the message validation. This response agent is nothing but this agent we have created. We have created stateless agent. Then this will be prepared so that it can talk to the Azure OpenAI. So chat, Azure OpenAI client, endpoint, and then we are creating agent from the AsAIAgent, and then this agent is nothing but the AsAIAgent given by Microsoft.agents.ai, and it will call the RunAsync. And is asking so much of context. So what you can do, you can, so that we will do in the upcoming series. Like we will take a help of tools and everything to provide good prompt to the as AI agent, so that when you are doing RunAsync, you will get a not non hallucinated better output. So if you, since we have very generic one, just as the first demo, so the output also gets changed, right? Because it is giving output based on his trained model data, because he cannot store our information. He only do a reasoning. But if we give a proper context, then he will give you the better result. So hope you understand what is MAF, what is response pattern within the MAF, how to use the MAF pattern, okay, and the significance of AI as AI agent, and execute async, how to call that, and what are the NuGet package required. So we'll continue with this. I hope this is helpful. Thank you so much.